Welcome back to the Homegrown Chronicles. Now, if there's one thing that an indoor garden really cannot get enough of, it is CO2. Now, for a lot of home growers that have a small garden, it's really not worth it, both time and money-wise, to be pumping in CO2 through tanks. That's more reserved for commercial operations that are growing hundreds of pounds of something, and by supplementing CO2 through tanks, they can provide an extra 100 or so pounds. Then it really is worth it. But for us home growers, there's a really easy way that we can supplement some extra CO2 into our grow room and have the benefit of getting fruit from it. And that is by cultivating mushrooms. Now, mushrooms are the new craze. If you haven't seen Fantastic Fungi on Netflix, then you should pause this video right now and watch it. It is fascinating what is happening in the world of mycology and just mushrooms for both health, immunity, and even psychological reasons. So it is really fun, and the best part about it is that it's really easy. Something tells me that you are a home grower, and if you have a garden, this is just one extra thing to grow and really enjoy, because my bet is that you enjoy growing things. So what I'm going to do is break down exactly what you need to do to grow any kind of mushrooms that you want, easily and cheaply, and you can just stow it away in the corner of your grow room. So you're gonna get extra CO2 and you'll be able to bear the fruits of whatever mushroom you want to grow. So to get the ball rolling on these mushrooms, we need to locate two things right off the bat. And that is Uncle Ben's 90-second instant brown rice. Now you can find these in the supermarket, or you can do what I do, which is I just get a 12-pack on Amazon for 20 bucks, call it a day. This will be on your doorstep within a couple days. Now the second thing that you need is a spore syringe. So you need to find out exactly what kind of mushrooms you want to grow and locate that spore syringe. Now these are really easily accessible on the internet. I use sporeworks.com. I found that I got that spore syringe within a week, and it was really good quality, and the prices are really fair. So that's what I use, but you can seek out other more local spots if you want. So I'm assuming that you've already put in your order for your Uncle Ben's rice and your spore syringe. So there's a couple other things that I want you to get so that when we get those two things, we'll be ready to inoculate our grains. The first thing is isopropyl alcohol. You're gonna wanna get 70%. Don't go with the 90 because that actually evaporates too fast to kill everything that you need the isopropyl to kill. So 70% rubbing alcohol. I like to get mine at Costco. You get 2 of these, costs about as much as a small one would cost on the shelf of Walgreens or CVS. So get yourself plenty of this. 2 of these may seem like overkill, but believe me, you go through it like crazy when it comes to mushroom cultivation. So get yourself some isopropyl alcohol. Now you probably already have gloves, but you wanna get some latex gloves as well. Now I get 2 brand new sprayers. I got these from Bed Bath & Beyond for $1.50 a piece. One is for the isopropyl alcohol and the other one is gonna be for distilled water. But you're gonna want 2 brand new because you want it to really have a nice spray. Lysol. This is also important for spraying your air before you do any of the work, because Contamination is the enemy of mushrooms, and this will make sure that your air is nice and sterile when you're doing any work that requires real care when it comes to contamination. You're also going to need to get some Nexcare paper tape. Now this you can get just about anywhere. I got this at the grocery store. 2 rolls is good, 1 roll will be fine, but you're gonna go through this, so go ahead and get the 2-pack for like, I think it was $4 or $5. The only other thing you need is a candle and a flame, because we're gonna need to be sterilizing our needle a lot. So just a lighter isn't gonna do. You need something like a candle. Now that we have everything, including our spore syringe, what you're gonna wanna do is shake this up. Here's our spore syringe. You can see that there's some material in there. Those are all spores and mushroom material. Now, don't worry if you can't break up this clump fully. Just give it a nice shake. There are millions of spores in this water that you can't see. So just because there's a big clump doesn't mean that you're not gonna get mushrooms out of this. It is fine. Just try to break it up, kind of flick it around and shake it. Now, SporeWorks comes with a sterilized needle. So if you bought somewhere else and you don't have one of these, you definitely need one. But most reputable places are gonna give you the syringe and they'll give you the needle that's hopefully sterilized. So, what do you say? Let's get started here. First thing you're gonna do, put on some gloves. Don't do mushroom work without fresh, clean gloves. There's too much stuff on your hands that you can't see, no matter how hard you wash your hands or with what you wash it with. There can still be contamination. The safest way to go is to wear gloves. Now, I've filled this container with my 70% isopropyl alcohol, and I am just going to spray these gloves right off the bat. You really cannot use too much rubbing alcohol. So, I mean, as paranoid as you are about anything, just be paranoid that you should reapply. So, what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna take my micropaper and I am just going to start taking off little 1.5 inch size pieces. This is plenty. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use this box because it's right here. Spray it down nice and good there. And I'm just going to put this here. Now, depending on how many bags, you want 3 pieces of tape like this per bag. So if you're doing 10 bags, that's 30 pieces of tape. Now, what I'm gonna do just for time purposes is I'm gonna inoculate this first bag with you, and then I'll go off camera and do all the rest. So for those purposes, I am just going to be getting 3 pieces of tape here. So, got my tape. Be mindful of not touching anything. Like if I were to grab this, oh, I did grab this. I better spray my hands. Oh, grab this, spray your hands. So here is the tape. And I'm gonna take my advice. Why not? Just a little spray. Cannot use this stuff enough or be too careful about contamination. So I have my first Uncle Ben's bag of rice here. Now here it is. This is the new label, but as long as it's 90-second instant brown rice. Now there is brown basmati rice out there. Can you use it? Maybe. It might turn out just fine. Just go with this. Does white rice work? No. it has to be brown rice. So just make sure you have the right stuff. Now, Uncle Ben's isn't the only show in town. I've seen Tastee-Freez or something like that, where it is instant rice in a bag like this. And I've heard it works great. I use Uncle Ben. I mean, my name's Ben. Like, gotta represent the Bens here. So what you're gonna wanna do is break this up. It's kinda in a bit of a clump right now. So I'm just gonna break it up in the bag with my nice sterilized hands here. And then I'm gonna isopropyl alcohol this bag. Can't use too much here. So have your paper towels on hand. Get it nice and good. Every crevice, even the bottom here. Like, you cannot go overboard on this. So now that we kind of got it broken up and massaged, what you want to do is get it all toward the bottom. Right now it's all at the top here. You don't even want one single grain of rice to be up here, because it's possibility that that little grain of rice will provide the contamination that will ruin the bag. So what I'm doing is just pushing everything down. And if you use the lights, you can even see the grains of rice that are up there that you need to work down into this one clump here. Now you're gonna notice that these bags have a clear window here. And that's actually really useful for when it comes to making sure that everything is going well in there. Because once you have these bags set, you can start to see the mycelium coming through the bag, and you'll be able to see it through the viewing window there. So that's actually really nice. So what I'm gonna do is just continue to get this rice. It's really vacuum sealed, so you really this is kind of a pain in the ass, especially doing it 10 times. But it is worth taking the time to make sure everything is mushed down so that you are gonna have the best chance at results. Okay, so I've got all my rice nice and kind of squished up, yet put down into a little cake down here. Got no grains of rice up here, and I'm ready to inoculate this bag. That is after one last spray. Cannot use this enough. And why not? Just go for your gloves too. Now, I am also going to be spraying right on this paper towel here, and I'm gonna clean my syringe off. So, clean every little crevice of this. And this is a sterilized needle that is in case. So for the first one, I don't need to sterilize it, but I will after that. And we'll be using a flame to do that. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to get my candle and my lighter. Now you'll notice I just touched my candle and this lighter. So what you need to do, if you touch anything, more isopropyl alcohol. Get it all over every crevice of your hand. So now that we have that, we are ready for our first inoculation here. So I've been mixing this around. It's kind of spreading up. It's still clumped. That's totally fine. Like I said before, there's millions of spores in here, and really you only need 2 to interact with the rice to actually start making the mycelium that is going to give us our mushrooms. So I have this all shaken up. I got my tape ready, and I am ready to inoculate. Now, one of the things, and you might be asking, why Uncle Ben's rice? Why 90-second microwavable rice? The reason is that This rice in here is 100% sterile and it's cooked. So all you need to do is inoculate it with your spore syringe, tape it up, and then it will do all the work by itself. Now, commercial mushroom growers, or even people that have done it in the past before we had these handy packs, you would have to pressure cook everything, sterilize. This means money and equipment and everything. Right now, we're basically in for about 50 bucks, and we pretty much have everything we need. So this is definitely the most economical way to go. If you decide to get into bulk mushrooming later, then you can think about getting all those fancy pressure cookers and everything else that goes into high quality bulk mushroom growing. So for now, we're a home grower. We have everything we need here. So I'm totally sterilized. And what I'm gonna do is just take this syringe out here, get these gloves down, and there we go. Now, call me paranoid, I don't care. I'm just gonna spray this. Spray, little wipey wipe. Can't use too much of this stuff. It's not gonna like poison your grains or anything, even if you get isopropyl alcohol right on it. So just use it liberally. So what I'm gonna do is give one last shake here. And I'm gonna take the top off here. And I'm just gonna insert it right in here. Screws right on. And once I pop this, I'll be ready to go. Now, before I do that, what I'm gonna do is just Lysol the air around me here. Can't use too much of this either. This time I bought it at the grocery store, but I suggest buying this at Costco as well, because you can probably get 2 big cans for the cost of like 1 can off a supermarket shelf. You're really just getting all that stuff that's in the air that you can't see. Now, if you've like been in your living room and the sun is shining through and you see specks in the air in the beams of light, those are all contaminants that can just absolutely ruin your mushrooms. So really, you can't use too much. Since I'm about to have open stuff, I'm just going crazy here. Now I touch the can. This is a game, see? Touch the can. Who knows what's on that can? A little more rubbing alcohol here. And now we are ready. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this off. The first one is sterilized, so I don't need to do anything there. And what you wanna do is right here on top of the cake, this is where the cake starts right here, is just insert this. Now I'm gonna put it under the flame for just a second. Not even for overkill, it just slides through the bag really easily if it's nice and warm. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go right into the top here, and I'm gonna put 1 cc in this. So pumping down. Whoa, whole thing went in there. And that's fine. The whole clump just went in. Totally fine. It's just nice and easy here. Put this down. And what I'm gonna do is right away, I got a hole in this bag. That's where contaminants can get in. So I'm gonna put my micropore tape right there. Now, the bag was vacuum sealed. The second that hole went in, you can get a little room here. So really do a double check, make sure those rices that might have been up here are falling to the bottom. And then what I want you to do is pull this away from each other. Don't open the bag, kind of like opening chips. And I got a nice crease here just on this side of the bag. So what I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna use this syringe right here. I'm gonna do the tips here. And I'm just gonna put 1 hole, it's actually 2 holes, and then give it a little bit of a We want the holes to be just a little bigger than the syringe itself. So that is fine. And the second that goes on, then you get more microfilm. I call it microfilm, it's actually micro tape. So I'm gonna do that one more time, which is gonna be 2 holes. Just make it a little bigger than this syringe. So the hotter this thing gets, the easier it is to kind of just melt the bag around it. So you want these to be as high on the bag as possible, but don't try and like thread the needle and get it all the way to the tip top. Just anywhere above there is gonna be fine. So I'm putting it in, I'm kind of moving it around, making those holes a little bigger, using the heat from the candle, and I have my 4 holes here. Now these holes are absolutely necessary. What's happening is it's just getting some gas exchange. So the micropore tape is allowing gases to escape and come in, and that is going to help the mycelium grow through the rice. So this bag is now done. So for those of you that want to see this again, I'm going to show you a second bag. So I'm going to take this. It's a nice solid brick, pretty vacuum sealed up, and I'm just gonna mush it around. But I'm more gonna mush from the top, kind of mushing it down so that there's no grains of rice up here. So then, one of my techniques is I'll take it right at the top, and I'll do this. This gets it down to the bottom there. And it kind of makes it a little easier for me to get these individual kernels of rice here. Kernels, grains. You can use other grains as well. Kernels of popcorn, that works as well. So I'm just gonna work all this stuff down. Remember, once you inoculate, this bag will kind of just really puff up and make it easier to get these, but just try to get it as far down as possible. So I've got that all set. And this is actually a good sign. When it's like hard to work with, that means that it is properly sealed and everything in it is gonna be completely sterile. And that is the name of the game when it comes to mushrooms. Right now, we are actually injecting fungus into this, but you want to grow the right fungus. So you want to really isolate the fungus that you're putting in here. So now that I kind of have it good enough toward the bottom here, I'm going to take my rubbing alcohol. Don't forget this step. You do this 10 times. It's really easy to forget, oh, did I sterilize the bag? You should be sterilizing every bag twice so that that doesn't happen. I said it before, I'll say it again. You cannot use too much rubbing alcohol. So I have everything pretty much pushed down to the end here. What I'm gonna do is insert right here in the middle of this Ready Rice logo here. And that will give the bag some give, and then I'll start working it in. So I got my syringe. Now, if this isn't the first time out of the package, you have to do this every single time this syringe goes into the bag. Do not risk contamination now. This is the most dangerous part of growing the mushrooms. So, hear it spitting in there. That means it's ready. I'm just gonna go right down, right here. It's gonna slide right in, no problem. And I'm gonna pump 1 cc into it. It's okay if you go a little too little, a little too much. Just get around 1 cc and you will be good. So I'm gonna put this down, and right away, I don't have my micropore tape ready. This is bad practice, but that's all right. Just get it on as fast as you can. Plug that hole right back up. As you can see, I already have so much wiggle room here. So I can really kind of make sure all those little rice grains are down into the cake. And now I'm gonna just pull it apart just so that I can pierce two sides. Got my fold in right here. And now I'm gonna use the power of this super hot syringe to actually make the holes. I'm gonna try and do this one really close. I can hear it spitting out. That's actually the extra distilled water that's in the syringe. So that's gonna happen, no worries there. Don't worry about the soot either. There's black soot on this. And then you just poke it right through. Give it a little bit of a twirl so that we get those holes just a little bigger than the size of this syringe. And then we put on our tape. Once again, I should have this tape ready. I don't know why I didn't do that, but it's all good. Law of averages says I'll be fine, but just for the next one, just gonna do this. Okay, why not? Spray the hands down a little, you know? Things have been touched. Let's grab our last crease here. So we're gonna have 4 air exchange holes, or I should say it's actually gas exchange holes that you're going for right now. We'll get into air exchange a little later when you're ready. So I can hear that mushroom spitting out. Means it's nice and hot in there. And then I'm gonna just poke right through. The hotter it is, the easier it is to put those holes in there and make them a little bigger than the syringe. So I got this and yet another bag done. All right, I'm gonna bust out the rest of these and then we'll talk about what we're gonna do. So now that I have all my bags inoculated, what you wanna do is just put them in a box. Now I kind of sterilize the box. Maybe that's overkill, maybe it's not. But I like to stand them up like this. Some say it's fine to lay them down, but for my money, since everything's on top and I want to keep all the grains of rice away from these holes, it's just safest to stack them. So what I do is I stack them all in a nice box here, and then I'll seal up the box and put the box in my grow room. Now, as long as the temperatures are in the 70s, you don't really have to worry about getting contamination due to temperatures. If you get down into the 60s, you are playing with fire. Now, if you can get up to the 80s, that is perfect. Some people use heat mats in various different ways. But what I do is I just put my box right in my grow room that I keep at 75 to 80 degrees anyway. That's really all you need. The only other thing is every day I will unseal the box. I don't seal it up with tape or anything, but I do close it and I'll put something there. You want it to be in the dark. And just being in the box means less chance for contaminant to get onto our bags. So I'll just place something up here, and once a day, I will open up the box, waft it out for a second, and then just close it. That's all you need. It really doesn't need that much. Now it's gonna take about 2 weeks for your bags to inoculate. And what you're gonna see is you will see white coming on the bottom of the viewfinder here. That's one of the best things about doing it up here is by the time you see white, you know that you have mycelium growing throughout the cake and that it's going to most definitely be viable. So be patient. Sometimes, for whatever reason, a bag will just take longer than another. Sometimes it only takes a week, week and a half. Don't give up on the bags until it's been like a month.